Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Raghav Jagannathan. Welcome to this ILTA webinar on fortifying legal AI, deploying secure role-based agents with our product KLapper. Before we get going, we just wanted to get a brief survey done of the audience just to understand just a landscape there in terms of what you guys are doing from a generative AI perspective and how you're thinking about security when it comes to surfacing intelligence through your generative AI platform if you're using one today. So if you can please respond back to these three survey questions, we'll appreciate that. So on that note, once again, my name is Raghav. I'm the founder and CEO of a couple of legal tech companies, KLST. We've been in business for just close to a couple of decades now. We work with some of the top 27 of the AIM Law 100 firms and 20 of the mid-sized firms around the world. I'm also the founder and CEO of a company called Cobot Inc. We are the creators of KLapper, the world's first private AI, ethical AI, and secure AI platform, which you're here to see today. I've also been working with AI since 2018. I've spoken at over 57 conferences, more recently at the ILTA Evolve conference in Myrtle Beach this year. Also last year at ILTACon, and I'm also scheduled to speak at ILTACon 2025, so super excited for that. I've done a lot of contributions to ILTA over the years. You can check out some of my blogs, especially on generative AI, and some of my articles that were featured on the peer-to-peer magazine, especially last year. So we are here to talk about KLapper, our platform that is designed for law firms, are optimized for use for law firms, where KLapper is the world's first private AI platform. With KLapper, you can basically deploy our platform right within the firm, right inside your firm. So anything that KLapper learns and reads and understands from a data perspective, from a metadata perspective, from a security perspective, it stays right within your firm. So no one, including us as a vendor, has access to any content that KLapper learns, which makes our platform really, really unique. Because we are, as I said, we are the only, at least from our perspective, the only known world's first private AI platform that gives you this ability to train data in a private setting without sharing any information with any of the generative AI vendors. So we are also a secure AI platform, and today it's all about security, and you'll see a lot of demos from me that showcases this even further. With our secure AI platform, KLapper has the ability to not just learn the data and the metadata, it also learns permissions, and not just permissions, it also learns information barriers on the data, like ethical walls, for example. So we'll see examples, live demos of this, rather than just me talking through it. And KLapper also is an ethical AI platform. So the core model has been fine-tuned to eliminate concerns like gender bias, or reduce significantly through the use of intelligent prompts, or system prompts as we call it. But also from an ethical wall perspective, in a legal sense, KLapper can recognize those settings in your third-party ethical wall application, or within iManage or NetDocs or SharePoint if you're using it for document management. So KLapper, as the world's first private AI platform, is not only a platform that learns your data and securely stores it within your tenant, but also is a secure AI and an ethical AI platform. So, but the key differentiating factor beyond being a private, secure, and ethical AI platform is that KLapper has many, many connectors that helps KLapper connect to your line of business system directly. So with KLapper, it can connect directly to our iManage system, directly to SharePoint, directly to NetDocs. So you don't have to download documents from those applications and upload it into this generative AI toolset. So with KLapper, we have connectors into all these platforms, including some other platforms like SQL Server, Microsoft Fabric. So KLapper can also learn unstructured and structured data, relational and non-relational data from open source NoSQL SQL databases as well, including Data Lake. So and KLapper also has intelligent connectors for many different legal KM platforms, including a generic connector called Universal Web Connector that helps KLapper basically read, write data or intelligently understand the data in those applications using our REST API connector. So KLapper truly is a unique platform, not just from being a private solution, but it also helps you connect to these applications rather than downloading and uploading content. And last but not the least, because we have all these intelligent connectors, KLapper can also do stuff on behalf of you. So not only it learns data, it reads the metadata, it reads the content, it understands the security on the data, both from information barriers and actual permissions. KLapper can also perform tasks on your behalf, so which is incredible. So KLapper is not only a generative AI platform for performing Q&A or surfacing intelligence from your KM, knowledge management applications. KLapper can also perform tasks like time entry, approve expense claims. You can delegate KLapper administrative tasks that KLapper can perform on a recurring basis. It can also deliver proactive alerts to you if your time entries are missing, or if you want it to conduct an automatic search in a certain repository and give you results first thing in the morning. The KLapper can do all that agentic behavior through our agentic tool sets that we ship. But today our session is all about security. So we really want to focus on KLapper security and how KLapper does that in such an easy way. So before I move on to my demo, I just want to recap on these key points, which is very important. So our KLapper app ships with its own custom rack that deploys right within your Azure tenant. KLapper also has a security database that is also self-contained within your tenant. So when you upload content into KLapper or you connect to content via KLapper into your KM platforms, KLapper learns that data real time, both from a content metadata permissions perspective, and KLapper has also connectors into network shares. So we work with a lot of law firms who are still using network shares, and KLapper can directly connect to those shares, learn the data, the metadata, the permissions on it, so it can intelligently query on it. And last but not the least, as I said before, with ethical wall or information barriers integration, KLapper can learn from iManage SPM and NetDocuments ethical wall, Microsoft Purview labels, and including third-party ethical wall solutions. So on that note, I'm going to switch over here and go back to my demo, just to show you a quick preview of our KLapper platform itself. So the first thing I want to show you is the platform. Our platform, because it's a private AI platform, it's an agent, a system builder platform. It deploys within your Azure tenant. So it's a private platform. So when you deploy KLapper, you would see the platform open up with a bunch of agents. So these agents are basically like apps that you can design with KLapper Builder. And each agent or app is basically self-contained. So you can train it on data from many different sources using connectors. And you can also train it to do tasks on your behalf using our skill builder or agentic AI capabilities. As I said, today I'm just going to focus on our data connectors into key line of business systems, KM systems like iManage, NetDocs, SharePoint, and so on. So to do that, I've basically created a new assistant part of the demo called KLappy. And I'm just simply going to open that. When you click on the app or the assistant or the agent, it opens up in this interface where I have the ability to train this agent on many different data sets. So I simply have to click on the Knowledge Builder module on the left, or Knowledge Builder feature of this agent, to give it the knowledge it needs to intelligently answer questions as people ask those questions. So before the demo, I went ahead and trained this agent on many different content sources. And I'll carefully and slowly kind of walk through this because it can get very confusing. So bear with me. So this agent is designed with the KLapper Builder, and it's been trained on many different data sets. For example, you can see here, I've dragged and dropped a bunch of, or my computer is basically designed for dragging and dropping files and folders from your local machine or shares into KLapper. So we support that like any other generative AI platform. So you can simply click on this button right here or simply drag and drop your content. So prior to the demo, I dragged and dropped a bunch of files and folders. Great. But that's not where the fun is. Because Clapper is a secure platform. It's a secure AI platform. Security is at the heart of anything that we do here, which means that you can apply labels and policies on documents and folders and files that you upload into Clapper. For example, here, you can see that I've uploaded many different documents. Our policy, these are live policy and procedure documents, employee handbooks, our information security policies, and so on. But notice there is a little lock icon. The lock icon basically helps me secure or target the document. So for example, I have an employee handbook that targets for our developers. Whereas I also have an employee handbook here that's for our C title. So with our Clapper, you have the ability to basically target content based on your profile, job profile, or your security groups, or AD groups, or users, and so on and so forth. So because of targeted content based on security here, by uploading those documents saying, look, the employee handbook belongs to this group of people, which is developer network, whereas the employee handbook C title belongs to this group of people, in this case, the senior executive team, which means that if members of the group ask questions, Clapper will surface intelligence from the corresponding book or books or documents. So show you an example of this. I've deployed, once you build the agent with Clapper, you can deploy it in many different platforms. Remember, there's an app builder platform. So once you build the app or the agent, you take the agent and you do a single click deployment to any one of those platforms and channels, like from Teams to SharePoint through the Copilot. We support many, many different platforms. So prior to the demo, I went ahead and deployed this Clappy agent on a number of different portals or SharePoint portals. So show you an example of how this secure security kind of audience-driven targeting or secure targeting is working. I've logged in here as a developer, John PMO, and I'm also logged in here in the same intranet in a different browser as myself. So I happen to be part of the security group that is the senior executives, whereas John happens to be part of the developer network team. So when John goes in and asks a question, which could be something like, how many vacation days do I get, for example, right here, to the Clappy agent, the agent will come back and tell him the answer, but the answer would be from the targeted handbook for that security group, which he's part of. Like, as you can see, it comes back and says 10 vacation days. Let's put this in max mode here. And if I go back as myself in the same intranet, I'm logged in here as myself, and I'm part of the senior executive team. And if I ask the same question here as Raghav, because Clapper understands that I'm Raghav Jagannathan and I'm John, and I belong to the senior executives team, I should come back and get a different answer for the same question, because it's learned the data from a different handbook. So we call this security and audience targeting. So basically, you can target content within Clapper to groups of people. So Clapper understands automatically who the person is based on the current logged in user account and the membership to groups, and it automatically gives the right answer that is relevant for that profile. So moving on from here, so basically the idea behind that demo was to show how with Clapper, you can upload content into Clapper using a My Computer connector, and then you can target those documents for specific security groups and users. So Clapper understands when to surface what sort of content. And you can do that across our web connectors. You can basically connect to websites and web applications online. You can connect to network shares. You can simply type in the file URL here using the file protocol, file:// or simply the network share name, something like that. And you can add it, and Clapper will seamlessly connect to the network share and learn the data. Once again, learning means that reading the content within that share, files and folders. So you can have recursive folders within that repository, hundreds and thousands of folders, and Clapper would just go through step by step and learn all the data, both document content, metadata, and security. Okay. So to showcase security further, I'm going to pick on SharePoint next. So with SharePoint, we have a connector to SharePoint. So a connector to SharePoint or SharePoint connector basically helps you train this agent by just point, click, and configure. So I can simply go and select my site collection or SharePoint site or SharePoint tenant. And once I select my SharePoint tenant, I automatically get the ability to pick and choose the lists and library I want to train this agent on. So I can go and pick my site collections. I can see I'm getting a bunch of site collections. And you can see here, once I selected the list, it automatically gives me all the metadata columns that I can train this agent with. So not only you're training on list data, list item data, but you're also training on list item metadata and permissions as well. So prior to this demo, I went and trained this specific agent on a number of different lists and libraries from SharePoint. But no, I want you guys to specifically focus on this list called events. So with this events list, it's a little bit special because this events list has a bunch of list items like calendar items. But more importantly, it's security trimmed, which means that it's only visible to me as Raghav at KLST, and also because I'm the site collection admin, and also to this particular user called mod admin. So anybody else who tries to access any information from this list by asking simple natural language questions through the Clappy agent in different channels like Teams or SharePoint, they would simply not getting a proper answer. So let's test this out. So you can see here within this events list, I have many different events. One of the events is an annual partner retreat event. So because I've already trained this agent on that list data, so the agent's already gone and crawled the list with list items, list item permissions, list item metadata, the whole 9 yards. So now I've deployed that agent within SharePoint already. So I'm logged in here as mod admin. You can see here I'm logged in as mod admin. And I simply open the Clappy agent and ask a question, when is the next partner retreat? Because mod admin actually has access to the data set, it should come back and tell me the next partner retreat is on this specific date. Whereas if I'm logged in here in private session as a person who does not have access to that content in SharePoint, so if I, as Adele, if I ask the exact same question, it's simply going to say, sorry, I did not find any information related to this content. So here's the example of how KLapper has actually learned not just the data, but it's learned the security on the data. And KLapper does it at a granular level. So it's not just the list item level or list level, also the list item level, not at the document library level, also at the individual document level. So before I move on to iManage connector, we just want to open up a quick poll just to get a pulse of how the webinar is going and what you found so far interesting based on what I've shown you in KLapper. So it's going to be a couple of questions. If you can please take the time to answer them, we'll appreciate it. So the next connector I'm going to show you here is our iManage connector. Our iManage connector is just incredible. If you're an iManage user, if your firm uses iManage, you can simply select the iManage repository that you want to train this agent on, and KLapper will connect to that location real time and learn the data right from there. So there's no need for you to download content and upload content and figure out who should have access to this and who should not have access to it and so on. KLapper does all that for you automatically, no problem. So you can see here I'm basically browsing a source in iManage right within KLapper, and I can basically go and select the data that I want this agent to be trained on. So I can select multiple folders. I can select workspaces. Basically, the choice is up to you. But what happens here is that KLapper learns all the data within that folder. For example, here I've added the court rulings folder in a workspace. Let me show you. For example, here I have many different documents within that folder. But I want you to pay attention to this one specific document where I've used security permissions restricting access to a couple of people here. The restricting access is for example, I've said that This user, admin, does not have access to this document, whereas me, Raghav, has access to this document. So which means that if I ask any questions related to this document, or any content for that matter, KLapper would automatically filter those data out. And because KLapper has the connector to iManage, KLapper is learning the data. So basically, it's opened the document, it's read the document inside out, every single page. It's read all the metadata on this document. So also notice on this document, I have metadata properties populated. One of the metadata properties I want you to pay attention to is a matter name, Burnsley Outpost, and also the client name, Nora's Unlimited. So basically, when I ask my prompt with my Clappy agent, which is the demo agent I have, I'm simply going to ask it questions not by name of the document, but by matter name, because KLapper learns not just data, it learns metadata. And also, I'm going to ask questions assuming different identities. For example, myself, who has access to this document, and a couple of other people who don't have access to this document. And I want to show you how KLapper responds. So the first prompt I'm going to show you here is I'm going to ask KLapper to extract. This is a non-confidential NDA, so a non-disclosure agreement for this specific matter, Burnsley Outpost. I'm actually going to ask it to just explain to me in just simple English. What exactly is this NDA telling me? Or what are some of the key terms in the NDA that I need to be careful about? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to my agent that is deployed in SharePoint. Once again, you don't have to use the agent in SharePoint. We do support many different channels. You can deploy this agent in Teams, or even you can deploy it in Copilot, which is just incredible. Or your favorite web platform, or within Microsoft Word, or within iPhone, Android, Windows apps that we ship. But here I'm going to use our SharePoint app, a SharePoint channel for this agent. So I'm going to continue here. You can see here I'm logged in as Raghav, and remember I have access to the document in iManage. So I'm just simply going to go and ask this question, which is, please extract out all the defined terms for this Burnsley Outpost NDA. So remember, I didn't even call out the document by name. I'm calling out by the matter name. Because KLapper has learned the data from that iManage repository, it's not only read the document, it's also read the document metadata as well. So you can see here, it seamlessly extracts out all the key terms that me as a non-lawyer don't understand. So it just explains to me in a simple English that I can actually understand. And it puts a citation here, which means that I can simply click on it, and it opens up the document straight up in iManage, either using iManage Work Web or iManage Work Client. With the Work Client, it'll just open up the document in Microsoft Word in this instance. But remember, I denied access to that document to this particular user, Adele and Mod Admin. They don't have access to the document. So let's see what happens if I play the exact same prompt for this particular user, Mod Admin. So I'm going to send this prompt to, so basically I'm asking the exact same question, which is, hey, extract all the defined terms for this particular matter. And it comes back and says, sorry, I can't do that. The reason for that being, because KLapper, when this agent specifically, just connecting the dots back now, if I go back to the KLapper builder, and if I go back here, you can see here within the quote rulings, it's gone ahead and learned all the data. But notice how there's an ACL icon here. When I click on it, it'll tell me exactly what it's learned from iManage. The obvious question to ask here is that, look, permissions is sometimes fluid, meaning that you could grant permissions on certain documents at any given point of time. And by design, generative AI is disconnected, meaning that any generative AI platform, you either download, upload documents, which means that you create a siloed content, which means that your generative AI platform is automatically it doesn't understand the updates that might happen in your source system. In this case, iManage. So we've solved that. So for example, we have a scheduled refresh job that you can configure that automatically will refresh the source. Basically, it'll automatically, in this case, if you change permissions on the document or the four documents in that folder, automatically with the refresh job, it runs every 24 hours. It'll automatically refresh itself. And if 24 hours doesn't work for you, then you would just simply click on refresh now, and it'll refresh it right away. The minimum is 24 hours for KLapper. So every 24 hours, every 1 day, the job will run, go to iManage, read the content for the deltas, basically all the documents that's changed, the metadata, the content within the document, both OCR and non-OCR documents, and the permissions on the document, including ethical wall details. And automatically will update itself so that the next time you ask the question, you get the right answer, or you get the answer you're supposed to see or not see. So we do the same thing with NetDocuments. With the NetDocuments connector, we have the ability to do the exact same thing. So not to repeat the exact same demo again, I have this NetDocuments repository called Court Docs that I've trained KLapper on. And you can see here, it's not only learned the data, but also the metadata on those documents as well. So I can basically show, ask a similar question like how I showed before, where I can ask a question on, let's say, one of these NDA documents that I have access to, but the other two users do not have access. So I can go back to my assistant here in SharePoint and put this in max mode here again, and I can ask a question that'll give me an answer based on the documents is learned from that specific NetDocuments content source. So if I ask the same question to the other users, it's simply going to come back and say, sorry, you don't have, I don't understand, or you don't have access. So the last thing I want to cover here is our connectors for other applications beyond iManage, NetDocuments, and SharePoint. So KLapper not only connects to data, not only connects to DMS data, KLapper can connect to enterprise data. KLapper can connect to modern applications like ServiceNow, Salesforce, but it can also connect to legal specific KM apps, like your 3 database or your Fabric data lake that you might be building right now. And it understands the data both from a data perspective and a security perspective. To show an example of that, I'm going to simply show you a brief example, and then I'll open up the floor for questions. For example, I have a really cool prompt here that lets you analyze a bunch of data that I have in my Fabric database, my data lake, and it goes off and basically analyzes the data set and comes back with to me with the list of tasks that seems to be problematic for that matter. And again, if this is all security trim data, which means that if I don't have access to the matter, I would not see this information. If I ask the same question as a user that I'm not supposed to see this data, it'll simply come back and say, sorry, you do not have access to this matter. And this data is actually just came real time from Microsoft Fabric. The Microsoft Fabric is a data lake platform, a data lakehouse platform that a lot of law firms are moving towards from a data consolidation perspective. So KLapper has connectors not just for DMS, but we also have connectors for SQL connectors, data connectors, as well as connectors for any modern application, including common suspects like ServiceNow, Salesforce, Intap, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to take a couple of questions here. I know that we are coming up to our 30 minutes to make sure that we don't miss any questions. But simultaneously, I'm also going to open up the floor for if you guys can respond to a couple of poll questions that we have for today's webinar. So we have a few questions on the question and answers here. So I'm going to take the first question, which is, does it support iManage Work Server? The answer is yes. So we do support iManage Work Server. So you can, KLapper connectors are designed for connecting to both iManage on-prem and iManage in the cloud. So you could be a iManage Work Server customer or cloud customer. Because KLapper is a private AI platform, it deploys right inside your tenant. So not just iManage, we also support SharePoint on-prem as well. So if you're working with SharePoint on-prem still, or iManage on-prem, and obviously network shares, which is automatically on-prem, because KLapper is a private AI solution, automatically it connects to all your private sources. I'm going to take one more question here. We are coming up to time. The question here is around NetDocuments. So the question is about NetDocuments ethical walls and walls information. So yes, so as I covered before, we can read the NetDocuments, both the permissions, the ACLs on the document, access control lists, as well as the walls, basically information barriers that might exist on the document. So we are at that time here. I'm unable to take some more questions, but feel free to post them so we will respond back to it as a post-webinar follow-up to you guys. Thank you so much for attending. I appreciate it.